Foxer's best plan of action here, if you will. What do you think the best course of action he should take if he wants to extend the series another game or two? Do you think he should play greedy? Do you think he should go balls to the wall aggressive? What would you do in Fox's shoes?
I don't know. I'd play pretty... it's hard to say. I honestly don't know. He tried the greed the first game, it didn't work. He tried the aggression the second game. He could go for some sort of cheese, maybe?
Yeah, because SirRobin has gone hatch first, I believe, both games. So 2 racks could work out. And Overgrowth is a decent map for it if your opponent doesn't scout correctly, so... Could see this out here by Foxer, but it's not really much of his style. And right when I say that, I mean, building his first supply depot at his natural.
So I know, range. I think I know what this build is. It's the rough tank Hellbat push. But SirRobin playing on the NA ladder has probably hit rough a few times, and he'll know what this build is when he scouts it. I'm pretty sure.
Is it just this location that tells you that, or where Fox is placing his buildings? Is that why?
Sorry, say that again?
Do you know that because of the way the location that Fox is placing his buildings right off the bat?
Yeah, the low ground depot. And he's getting a 14 gas.
And what's a good reaction to this when SirRobin scouts it? Roaches?
You really want roaches, yeah. Because it's going to start with an initial Hellion pressure, and then you get up to... you start making a tank, and you push with like 2 tanks, 10 Hellbats, and a handful of Marines. So banelings can work if your opponent isn't spread well and doesn't have their tanks sieged. But if they do, the banelings just kind of get eaten alive. So you really want roaches.
Okay. And what's the... I don't understand why... Is there a specific reason why you have to put everything into low ground for this build? Because I've seen other Hellbat pushes that are similar, but they don't have the wall off.
I don't know. It's just the way Ruff does it. Foxer has gotten some coaching from Ruff. Okay. And this is really cool how you can lift the barracks and kill the Overlord.
Nice. Very nice cheeky play here by Foxer. Just supply block SirRobin here right off the bat. Looks like he's taking his second gas and another... Oh, never mind. So he's just doing a weird drone trick after getting supply block, which is another cute play by SirRobin. I like that, actually. Lessening the blow of the supply block a bit there. Getting 2 extra drones out.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kaboosh calling it correctly. It looks like he's going to float this factory right over when this reactor's done. Start with some alien harass.
Yeah. So the downsides of this build is in putting all your buildings here is you're really weak to baneling busts. You can just blow up the reactor and a depot at the same time. Yeah. So you let your lings flood in, and you only have a handful of Hellions, and unless you're like innovation, you're not going to be able to deal with all the speedlings with just a few Hellions.
Yeah.
And then it's very easy for the factory to get camped by speedlings. So we do have SirRobin getting speed and then pulling out of gas.
Yeah, his reactions have been fairly standard so far. Not doing anything crazy. Six Zerglings in the way. Very, very similar to the first 2 games here by SirRobin.
Yeah. The Hellions are poking in. We're going to see if they're able to do any damage. Actually eating some extra clean shots. And he's really trying to get some damage here.
Yeah.
He will take out these wings, but the queens are just going to clean up these Hellions. I don't think he'll get many drones, if any. As I said that, he got 5 drones, so kind of worth.
Good job there by Foxer, last minute micro.
Mm-hmm.
To save the worth of the Hellions, if you will.
It will
drones.
make 13 drones, Zerg. It will make the push a lot weaker though, because he doesn't have those 4 Hellbats.
Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, you are 100% right so far, Kaboosh. We have tank in production, more Hellions in production, and I don't see an armory yet, but the amount of gas that he's mining looks like it's definitely coming soon. 16 lings in the way here by SirRobin after that big flood of drones and a 3rd base. So it looks like he's going to play that economic aggressive style that he's been playing, which is, why not? You know, it's been so effective so far. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Spine Crawler coming up as well. And do you really think that SirRobin has this all figured out? Because it's almost 8:30 here and he has no Roach warn. And I'm not really sure when this timing push hits, but he's already pushing across the map here.
Yeah, he should have a second tank following. You don't need a Roach warn. Like, you can't hold it off with Banelings, but it relies more on your opponent's micro not being perfect. Mm-hmm. And he only has 5 Banelings.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's enough. Like, if all the Hellbats are clumped, it'll be fine. Yep. But if the Hellbats are split...
Not to mention the siege splash damage as well, and all the Marines that do a lot of DPS if they're if there's fodder. And like as you were saying, the second siege tank rolls up, and the armory's just about to finish. So we're going to see these dudes do their little dance, and they are now Hellbats, and this is now a dire situation here for SirRobin.
So here's 11 more Banelings on the way. In come the original Banelings, and they're going to try and go for the Hellbats. They don't really get much damage done, but the extra Banelings are almost done. So, and now the Hellbats are pretty clumped. So nice splits, but is it enough?
I don't think so. That second flood of Lings, SirRobin had 16 in production as Foxer sieged up, and then 14 more are on the way right now. So it looks like he's going to do a huge counterattack, and if Foxer doesn't lift his wall, these Lings can do massive damage.
Yeah, like I said before though,
lift your wall!
The weakness of this build is the weak wall here with the reactor.
And 3 supply depots. They all have 400 HP between the 4 of them, so...
Yeah. So behind this you go for mech. Robin is not electing to go for a big bust here. He is just gonna go into Spire. The Spire can work, though Foxer does have an armory down from making the Hellbats, so he can start a Thor. He hasn't yet, but you can have like 2 Thors out by the time any mutas get to your base.
Yep. So he's dropping 2 more factories, getting +1 for the vehicles. Spire coming down from SirRobin, floating his 3rd over there as Foxer. And from here, the supplies are down. I think Fox is a little bit behind, but compared to the first 2 games, I think he's looking a lot better. To be honest with you, hasn't lost as much SCVs at around this time. Looks like he's finally going to get his 3rd base established without losing too much. So it's definitely good news here for Foxer. And as a mech player, the composition he's trying to build up, is he trying to get Thors and tanks before any Ravens, or is he going straight for Ravens? Because I know Ruff is a big Raven guy. So I don't know how specific his transition is.
You can't go for Ravens off of this many bases. You need at least 4 bases to get a decent Raven count. You do want Thors to be safe against mutas. You want like 6 to 7 Thors, probably. Maybe not 7, like 5 to 6 Thors. To be safe against mutas. So mutas just can't magic box your army and kill you. And then the rest you just want tank, Hellbat, maybe a few Vikings to zone out the mutas.
And then you slowly work towards the Raven, Viking battle, whatever composition, the late game stuff that I see. Mostly Mass Raven, but it takes a while.
Yeah, you're kind of forced into playing with the Raven style if they go for Swarm Hosts. But if they don't go for Swarm Hosts, you can play, you can sit on tank Thor Hellbat.
Yeah.
But you'll never be able to push out across the map into Swarm Hosts if they establish a decent Swarm Host count.
Yeah, you gotta fight for units for sure. Or energy, rather. Which is definitely better than trading minerals for free units, that's for sure.
Yep.
High sec. Oh, is it high sec auto tracking or high? I never pronounce it right.
High sec
High-sec.
auto tracking. Yeah.
High sec auto tracking. He's coming in here for Foxer, so you know he's trying to turtle for a little bit. Very heavy mech style.
Yeah, you definitely need it versus a muta heavy player if your Thors are late. So it's going to let these Thors actually, or these turrets actually repel the mutas without just getting crushed.
Yeah. Not to mention it beefs up the Planetary Fortress and the PGDs for later in the game, which is always good, for sure. And auto turrets too. Those things are a pain in the ass. Infernal Pre-Igniter as well against some Blue Flame Hellions. So this is looking to be your standard TVZ mech game.
Yeah, the Thor count is growing, so it's going to get to the point where he can push back these mutas fairly easily. SirRobin does have his 4th base mining. He's getting his 5th versus just the 3 bases of Foxer. So Foxer's going to need to get a 4th base at some point here.
Yeah, SirRobin's definitely investing a lot more into his economy as opposed to his army. He's getting these upgrades. He only has like, what, 80-something lings here? Only. He has 106 lings and about 20-something mutas at the top right of the map. So it doesn't look like he's going too crazy on army, which I like. He's just gearing up to make the right composition for this mech push. Which, what do you think that is, Eric? Just, Viper, Swarm Host? With
So there's a few ways you can deal with it. Yeah, Vipers and Swarm Hosts are really good, and maybe some Roaches. I don't like these Lings. I think he's going to wait for Foxter to try to take an expansion, and then just use the Lings to counterattack and try to either do some damage or deny the expansion or whatever. Burrow could be really good here too, just to stop expansions from landing.
Definitely. It looks like SirRobin has an eye out on every possible location for Foxer to take a 4th base.
Yeah.
So it's definitely mindful of SirRobin.
He's making a ton of Banelings right now, and maybe his plan is to just come in and blow up this planetary, which could work.
I think it's a wicked, safe, and smart move, honestly, because you look at SirRobin's bank. It's just so much, and he has like 50-something, 60-something larva now.
Yeah.
So it's a great move, like you were saying. He wants to get rid of those lings. He knows that this is a unit composition that's not going to do well past the 17-minute mark. So
yeah, and
he's definitely looking to waste these.
He was just waiting for enough larva to remax safely after he throws away these lings.
Yeah, definitely a smart choice by SirRobin. I like this a lot. And he's going to scout the unit composition while possibly doing some damage. He's going to know exactly what to make. He's getting his upgrades. He has plenty of banks, plenty of larva saved up. And this is running into a big turret field, so these mutas are honestly going to be useless. Definitely not a good trade there by SirRobin.
Nah, he's just poking. Yeah, he lost a few, but it's
8 Corruptors and a Greater Spire. Looks like SirRobin's going to be going into Broodlords behind this.
Yeah. So there are no Vikings out for Foxer. He needs to sniff this this transition out, or he's going to be in trouble.
Looks like he wants to push, does Foxer. He's kind of moving around on the map a little bit, checking everything out. Morphing his Hellbats into Hellions to get a scouting off, it looks like.
Yeah, the creep spread, though, is fantastic here for Robin, so he's going to see any sort of push out here. The Hellions do trade well against these Zerglings, but again, the Zerglings were pretty replaceable here. He's going to remax on 8 Corruptors. So I don't know, he's got a window here to push where he can kill stuff before the Broodlords are out. But these mutas are going to keep him back at home. And then we have this counterattack at the planetary here. The Baneling's actually getting funneled in. Don't take full advantage of the...
Oh, this planetary... oh, there it goes.
He could have repaired it. It's unfortunate for Foxer. The Banelings were really staggered in. They didn't blow up all at the same time. So Foxer could have repaired and saved it.
SirRobin is getting his +3 flyer attacks, 10 Broodlords in the way as well, 8 more Corruptors. And he's getting to be a pretty scary army at this point in the game. Foxer to deal with, and I do not think he has scouted this whatsoever because no Vikings in production. He lost a few Ravens to those Mutants, so.
Yeah, Thors are not very good versus Broodlords. They kind of just get zoned out by the Broodlings.
Just scan Broodlords. The Foxer definitely knows what's going on now, and SirRobin reacted to this by starting to pull his army a little bit more forward here to take a posturing position to attack. Three Vikings in the way in response to the scan Foxer has. It's a very smart decision, I think. One Raven as well. And do you like Foxer's position? Because he's not down in supply too much, and besides the creep spread, I mean, he's not doing too horrible.
So his position's okay. I really like what SirRobin's doing here with the spines, like preventing any Hellion counterattacks at this gold base. Like he is getting some damage done here at this base. He got all the drones there.
Yeah.
So,
looks like it went from 90 something drones to 73, so he actually did a lot of damage there.
Okay, so he gets about one Broodlord with the Seeker missiles.
Now, what would you rather deal with as a mech player? Would you rather deal with Broodlords a little late or a Swarm Host composition?
Definitely Broodlords.
I think so. I think
Broodlords
Foxer,
are scary if they're unscouted, but once if you can prepare for them and if you can survive until you're able to react to them, they're way easier to deal with.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. And these Corruptors, you got to be really careful. They're clumping up versus Thors and Vikings. I definitely don't like this from SirRobin.
The Thors are all in single target mode to try to snipe down these Broodlords.
I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. There's so many more Broodlords that just morphed in. Yeah, GG. It's called
GG. So
a nice series here by SirRobin and Foxer. Very entertaining games. GG to both. Very impressed with SirRobin here. Him and Semper definitely look like the people to beat in this tournament heading into the round of 8.
So we do know our seeding now for the round of 8, and we can go ahead and tell you guys that on stream now. Let me get these groups up, and we'll tell you.
Well played by Foxer. He's also advancing into the round of 8. Nothing to be ashamed of losing to SirRobin here. Very impressed by both players. It was an honor to cast them after a long day of work. Definitely entertaining stuff. If any Zergs are watching, I would definitely go SirRobin's play. He did awesome. Macroed while maintaining aggression, scouting. He always seemed just one step ahead of Foxer, even though Foxer busted out all his tricky builds. And it was an awesome series to cast. Congrats to both players.
Yeah, definitely. So before we do the round of 8 seeding, we're actually going to add SirRobin on Skype to get a winner's interview going.
Nice. Not sure what my Skype is dead bullets means. Oh, wow. Fucking idiot. Anywho. Yeah, can't wait to hop in this winter interview with Sir Rob. So that concludes our matches being played for this evening.
Yeah, he just added me, so I'm gonna invite him to this call. Alright, so
Oh, excuse me.
What's up?
hey, how you doing?
Doing well.
All right,
Congrats,
so
Sir Rob.
Thank you, thank you.
all right. So pretty convincing 3-0 there. How do you feel confident in ZVT? Think that's your best matchup?
You know, in Wings of Liberty, in the beginning of Heart of the Swarm, I'd argue is one of my worst. But ZVZ I've always had problems with, and when ZVT was the Widow Mine kind of play, the parade push kind of thing at the start of Heart of the Swarm, I felt like I struggled with it a lot. But once I started figuring out how to micro properly against Widow Mines, I really felt confident in my mid-game Zerg vs. Terran. I'd say it's probably one of my strongest points in my play is Ling Bling micro and mid-game Zerg vs. Terran are probably my two best parts of my play right now.
Yeah, it definitely was apparent from those games. Yeah, game 1 and 2 played out very similarly. You kind of just got a slight edge. You knew exactly how to exploit it, and then you held the counter pressure and killed them with a Bailing Bust.
Yep, yeah, I really,
Yeah.
you know, at that timing, Terrans they just got their third CC up, and they're trying to get their production going, up and running. They're trying to get double engineering bay. They're trying to get combat shield or stim. And so they're trying to get, 3 to 5 barracks up, double upgrades, and marine upgrades, like stim and stuff. And so they're just doing so much production and so much emphasis on like upgrades that they really have a small army, especially if you can kill the Hellions. And so, when I kill the Hellions, I feel like I can put on counter pressure at that timing. And the only thing that really stops me is if the guy goes Banshee, and then they keep their Banshee at home right out in front of their base to make sure I'm not morphing Bailings and busting them. But if they're not doing something like that, then I'll just do a bust like that. And if they're doing something like a drop, such as Game 2, it's most definitely worth it, because now they don't have a medevac at home, they can't save the Marines, they can't save the SUVs, and then all I have to do is accept the fact that I lose 6 to 8 drones at home, but I do far more damage for damage back at his base.
Yeah, definitely. Game 3. I was poking around in your stream chat during the game, and someone said that you had actually analyzed the same build in one of your I'm sorry, what's the name of it? The Squire thing?
SirRobin Squire School?
Yep. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so you had analyzed the similar replay.
I did. He did the exact same build that Ruff did, and earlier today I analyzed Ruff's replay and how I held it and why I held it, and so I picked up on it real quick since I had a refresher this afternoon, and so I picked up on it real quick, pulled back, told my stream that this is Ruff's all in. He probably stole it from Ruff. I'm gonna morph more Bailings, and I I held it pretty handedly. Against Ruff, he was able to kind of break into my natural, but I never let him kill drones, and so I was able to finally push it back. But here, I had my spine crawler properly positioned. Against Ruff, my spine crawler wasn't properly set up. I had less bailings. I had less creep. Ruff put on a little more aggression with the early Hellions. I wasn't exactly sure what Foxer was gonna do at the start, because he wasn't really showing me his Hellions, so I had to run some Zerglings up to his wall, and when I saw the double factory, I instantly knew that he wasn't being passive. He was planning on being aggressive, and then especially when I saw the move out, I knew it was most definitely Ruff's all in, and since I already held it once and I already even reviewed it earlier today, I had no problems holding it.
Definitely showed.
Yeah.
Kaboosh, actually, the co-caster, yeah, he called that actually right away. He said, you're GM, mid-GM, you definitely ran into Ruff once or twice before, and you knew how to prepare for that build, and it showed. I actually have one question for you, too. I don't hold you up all night, but did you tailor make your ZVT style for Foxer after seeing him play his first 2 games, or is that always how you play? You know, that like economic aggressive style. I was really impressed by it. You like never. You said you had trouble with parade pushes, but it's almost similar the way you play. Units are always streaming in, but you're always droning up behind it, so it's very smart.
Thank you. Actually, no, that's how I play ZVT all day, every day. I'm a big fan of that style. And I'm a big fan of mid-game control. I control the mid-game. You do not get to control the mid-game. If you think you get to control the mid-game, I will flank you, kill all your Hellions, and then kill you. You do not get to take mid-game from me. And what that gives me is crete spread and a little bit safer time to drone, which means that I should be able to save my 4th base, because what really happens in Zerg vs. Terran is that if you don't control the mid-game properly, then you don't have the crete spread to defend your 4th base. You don't have the 4th base even done sometimes, and then they'll just walk all the way around your creep, get to the 4th base, such as in Overgrowth, for example. You know, the little hallway by that 4th base. If you don't have crete spread to that, and you're trying to take that 4th base, it can be a major struggle. So, you know, in this game in particular, I had tons of room to spread my creep. I got my 4th base up and running. I felt perfectly safe with droning it up. I had crete spread all the way across map. Nowhere they could run where there wasn't crete spread. So, and that all stemmed from the mid game. If you can control the mid game properly, it sets you up really well for the late game. And I feel so confident in my Zerg vs. Terran mid game that I always put on pressure while at the same time trying to drone behind it, so then, you know, if I control the map, and if they respect me and hide back in their base until they kind of get like their Marines and medevacs out, then I just, you know, start droning and such. But I can oftentimes have issues with drops, but any kind of Zergling versus Hellion micro, I'd say, is one of my strongest skill sets in StarCraft.
Yeah, definitely like dominant. So going into the round of 8, you're going to be playing Husheng. How do you feel about ZVP?
ZVP used to be my best matchup in Wings of Liberty, by and far. My Zerg vs. Terran was like 47% or something silly, and then my ZVZ was like 53%, and then my ZVP was 64%. So I was really, really strong in my Zerg vs. Terran back in Wings of Liberty days, and at the start of Heart of the Swarm, I feel like my ZVP got a little bit worse. You know, with the Mothership Core, there were some things in my play that I just couldn't do anymore, and I had to figure out some new ways to approach some of my macro aggro. Just like in my ZVT, you kind of called it macro aggression, where I'm like droning behind it, but I'm also still putting on aggression. I kind of do something similar in Zerg vs. Protoss, where I take a 15 hatch, but then depending on how he cannon rushes me, you know, I took a game off MC by proxy hatching him after my 15 hatch. And so it's like a macro opener, but depending on how they read it and depending on how they behave, I'll either proxy hatch them, or I'll just take 2 golds and then know how to defend it, or deceive them into thinking I'm taking 1 base while I'm double expoing in another, and that buys me just enough time so then he can't cannon rush the second base. Things like that where it takes some time to kind of get a feel for, because back in Wings of Liberty there wasn't a mothership core. So now when you build a proxy hatch, you kind of have to behave. You have to handle the situation a little bit differently, because there's going to be a mothership core just killing your units from above. So it's really, it makes it tough. It makes it hard to put a full on all in. You kind of have to do like a pressure while macroing behind it, which is kind of what you were talking about earlier. So, so after a little bit of tweaks and whatnot in my Observe vs. Protoss, I kind of found the style that I like. And in the start of the Heart of Storm, it was all about that Hydra into Muta switches. And now I've sat comfortably in like a Roach Ling into a Muta switch, or like Hydra Viper, depending on how hard counter my opponent is towards Muta. I've played Hugh Shang a few times. I think I only lost to him once. For the most part, I typically beat him. If I can recall correctly, he's a heavy 2-baser, so just gotta hold his shit and I'll be good to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Very confident talk here by SirRobin in the later rounds of the RSL.
All right. So do you have a? I know you're streaming at twitch.tv/SirRobin. I've seen you streaming quite a bit. But do you have like a Twitter or a Facebook or anything like that you want to plug?
Yeah, I have a Twitter, SirRobin SC2. So at SirRobin SC2. And yeah, I mean, I tweet about my stream. I tweet about some things in life that I run into, or things like this where I'm competing in a tournament. So, and sometimes I'll tweet at other pros. but it's mostly StarCraft related, almost entirely.
Yeah, well, definitely looking forward to seeing you play in the round of 8. Definitely very stacked. Going to see some pretty good matches.
Yeah, I'm really glad I actually won today, because Gravity Beast was telling me that if I got second place, I'd have to play against Semper next round.
Yep.
Yep.
So I was gonna have to team kill. so good to hear that I'll get to fight him in the finals.
All right. Well, yeah, definitely great games today. Congratulations once again. And any other shout-outs you have?
I guess just shout out to Team Gravity. They've been really supportive. I've been on their team for the past couple weeks, and they're really on top of shit. They let me know about upcoming events. They remind me about things all the time, like every day. They make graphics for me and such like that. So they're just a really supportive staff. And the teammates are actually really willing to do practice games. So it's a smaller team in terms of player base, but we're closer because we get to practice more. When I was on FXO, the players just never really practiced together very much, and the staff was a little more distant, and so because they were managing the European and the Korean, so the staff was kind of split, and they prioritized over the better teams. And so, even though Gravity is not the biggest team, I haven't felt more support than from any other team. So shout out to Team Gravity.
It's good to hear that you're having success with the NA team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. When's the round of 8?
Next weekend.
Next weekend. All right.
You'll probably get an email with confirming dates and times.
Sweet.
Later tonight.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
No problem. Have a good night.
Thank you. Congrats, dude.
You too.
Have a good night.
Thanks. You as well. Bye.
Alright, so my Skype is frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, my Skype's frozen. But that's going to do it for us tonight at the RSL. Next weekend we have the round of 8. So let's go ahead and I'll tell you guys the the matchups for the round of 8. I'm also going to post the Liquipedia in the Twitch chat. So our first match is going to be Semper versus Foxer, a TVT, our last 2 remaining Terrans in the RSL here. So unfortunately, one of them is going to be eliminated. Semper, of course, being probably the favorite to take the tournament. So Foxer's got a tough match ahead of him, but he can practice, and he might be able to pull an upset here. We'll find out next weekend. We then have Believe versus Revolution. Believe, a Protoss player, and Revolution, a Zerg. We casted Believe's group earlier today, and he looked very dominant. Revolution also said he was looking forward to play a ZVP. So that should be a ton of fun. We also have SirRobin and Husheng, another ZVP. And then we have Game Time versus Creature, yet another ZVP. So we've got a TVT and then 3 ZVPs for next weekend for the round of 8.
Yeah, man. Exciting stuff. Definitely don't want to miss that. If I'm not casting, I'll be tuning in for sure.
Yeah.
Congrats again to SirRobin and Foxer. Awesome games tonight. I had an awesome time casting. Sorry I was a little late. Work gets in the way sometimes. I appreciate you, everyone, holding up a little bit for me to come in and catch some StarCraft after a long day's of work. It's definitely a good time.
Good to have you here. So, shout out to Hawkeye for running this tournament. Thanks to Sean for casting with me, even though he's a little bit late. And shout out to the RSL in general. Great tournament. Thank you for having me cast as frequent as I do. I really enjoy it. So that'll do it for me. Sean, any shout outs for you?
No, man, I second everything you said. Shout out to Hawkeye, man. He's awesome, bringing this community, this content to the community. I had a great time casting high-level matches tonight. I don't play a lot of Zerg, but I know some Zerg out there who are taking notes. Congrats to SirRobin and Foxer again, and we'll see you guys next RSL broadcast. Have a good night.
Yeah. Make sure you follow the stream if you haven't already, so you can get notified when we go live next weekend for the round of 8. You can check Liquipedia for all the times and good stuff like that. Should be updated shortly. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, and have a good night.